Hello everybody, how we doing today? Lunar, Archa, Skitty, Willow, Duality, Sino. New start screen looks awesome. Hell yeah, I finally got it so that I could put chat on the screen. Sleepy, hello, hello. So I thought as I was, gonna change it to kind of look like the VOD thumbnails, I might as well actually put effort into making it better as a starting screen with chat added. Hi, thank you. I'm so normal. Are you ever, Archa? Are you ever? I'm so busy today, but I want to catch this set of chapters if I can. Hell yeah. I hope things become less busy for you. I know busy can sometimes be a little annoying. Alright, let's hop over to the tablet screen. Oops, wrong one. There we go. Wait, no, hold on. Hold on. I need... Nope. My god. Wait a minute. I had my new little... I had another guy I was gonna add. Let me grab him. Yep, my streamer? Yeah. There we go. There we go. And where's the other one? There we go. Okay, actually, I need, you guys choose which one. I made two different expressions. Well, one of them is just the expression from the thumbnail. Which one do you guys like me smiley a bit more, or oh god. Do you like me a bit more loud? Which one do you want? I would love to get it if I could eventually get like a little 2D sprite, or 2D live sprite that like bounces. More loud? I'll keep the loud. I'll keep them both, and I can cycle when the feeling is right. Can I line them up? That's about as lined as I'll get. Alright. Okay, I'll put them next to each other. I would love to get a little, those like little 2D live sprites that like bounce up and down and like the mouth moves. I don't know how to make them, but I know a friend who does, or at least who has one. You could use video, oh, two people at the same time for suggested. Okay, I'll look into it. Let me actually write that down because I won't remember. Oh, but I didn't mean to. my notepad. I use video to mini for mine. It's very easy. Okay, cool. I will look into that after stream. This is how I take notes. Is I open a notepad and I have 20 billion notepads. So, but I can make a couple little sprites that like bounce up and down, just to have a little bit more activity on the screen. So, all right. Well, we're gonna hop into it. I might wait a few more minutes, but I used it on stream, and I haven't. It's cute. It works. Hey, listen. If it works, it works. Do you guys hear it when I get email notifs? That was my email notification sound. Did you hear that chime? I'm pretty sure you do because you just get my desktop audio. I wonder how often that happens, because that must happen during... It definitely happened during AU quite a bit, but... I usually about halfway through while we're, reading, I'll take my headphones off, because I don't need to hear my computer audio to read, and it's sometimes just nice not having my big headphones in my head. And so if there's ever any audio on my computer that's like a notification sound, yeah, I heard it, but I haven't before. Maybe I'm just dumb. It might be able to just fade into the background. I always thought that was a stream note. Nothing pops up on stream. You just every now and then. You know those videos where it's like 12 hours of silence, but occasionally, I don't know, there's a knock on the door. I should turn one of those on just for one stream, and nobody will ever, like, I won't say anything about it, and I'll have my headphones off so I won't know when it happens, and you guys can just be like, wow, that's weird. It's a weird sound. I do actually. I want to scare the shit out of some of you with a door knock just out of nowhere. 1 hour broken up by bad to the bone. It would surely make it a little bit more entertaining, wouldn't it? Because you would be like, you would try to go for like good timing, see if you can get lucky with it. All right, let's not delay too much longer. I'm gonna turn off the music. My lo-fi chilled beats 12 hours of DMCA free and copyright free music for Twitch streamers. I'm gonna turn that off. Or the most inappropriate moment and just can you imagine? It's like we get like a mention of bro or something, and you just hear like perfect timing knock on your door. I would lose my shit. I would personally freak the fuck out. That's a bit spooky. Oh my goodness, fart reverb. Two different types of people. Oh my goodness. I have you guys know the plush like Terezi pillow that you can kind of not find all over the place. A friend bought me one, and I have her sitting in my lap right now. she's just vibing with me. So she's hanging out while I read. Oh, Chris, what's up? What's up, Arjun? Okay. Let me drink up some water, and then we'll probably hop right in. Aren't you better type fucking fast, because I'm about to start. I'm kidding. Congratulations. Congrats on the Art Arcturus notice. Why that one? I mean, if anybody's gonna if any famous fic writer that I know is gonna reblog your Carcat Boobies doodle, it's gonna be Arc. So, all right, let's hop into Fall of Rome. We are on chapter 9. I'm pretty sure. At least I made the thumbnail for chapters 5 through 8 right before stream, so I hope we're on chapter 9 because I don't want to have to remake it. Arch, I'm going to be completely real. I thought you were the same person. It is similar name. It is similar name, so, you know. You think about it hard enough. Alright. Okay, we're going to get started. This is a chapter 9, Fall of Rome by acrylicmist. Alright. 4.5k words or so. Monday again, and the first day, Carcat was back at school. He'd be gone by Friday, stolen away by the rising moon, but for the next few days, Dave could go back to pretending that everything was okay between them. And at first, it worked. His school bus arrived a few minutes early. They chatted in the hall by a brand new bank of lockers that had been recently installed, then met at lunch, where even Officer Johnson seemed eager to act like nothing had happened last week. Then Dave felt his phone vibrate against his leg while in English class. He took a second to prop up his boring textbook in his lap as a shield before pulling out his phone. He expected the message to be from Slick, but instead he saw gray text. Dave, are you there? You'd better be. I'm risking detention by texting you in class like this. What's up? He couldn't help the way his heart picked up at the sight of the familiar all caps words, and Carcat had never texted him during class like this, so it must have been important. God, I hope I don't drive you off by being such a nosy prick, especially after you literally just saved my fucking life, but you have to admit that the situation brought up some questions that I'm hopefully at liberty to ask. Dude, what? Liberty? Isn't that a flag thing? Can I ask you some questions or not? Being evasive isn't going to let you avoid this. Not this time, Dave. I'm not evasive. Yes, you are. It's honestly shocking how evasive you can be while still being completely truthful. Okay, that's slightly better. I don't really lie, especially not to you. I know. You just avoid topics you don't want to discuss by swamping the conversation with 8 metric tons of pure bullshit until the original point is lost under the weight of another long-winded and frankly disgusting metaphor. But this time you want me to be frank. Yes, Dave, that's exactly correct. Who's Dave? What? My name's Frank, not Dave. Don't know who this Dave guy is, but I might have a problem with the dude if you keep confusing the two of us like this. I'm fucking wounded, Carcat. How many guys do you text? Okay, this isn't going to work. I'm sorry that I bothered you. I'll see you in history. Dave waited a moment, but Carcat didn't text him back. With a growing sense of dread, Dave quickly texted him. Wait, shit. I'm sorry, I did it again there, right, didn't I? Please ignore me and my frothing pile of bullshit and ask away. I'm listening, I swear. It took a second, but then the gray text appeared again. Are you sure? These won't be easy questions, which is why I thought doing this through text might be easier than face to face. Should I be worried? This sounds serious. I'm not sure. It's about what happened. I know you don't feel comfortable talking about this, and I'm sorry. How did you know? I saw the way your face changed whenever my dad or your agent brought up the subject while I was still in the hospital. I like to think that I've been getting better at reading you, but sometimes it's still impossible to know what's going on inside your head. Trust me, that's a good thing. I know. You don't have to tell me anything. I know. And it's okay, Dave. I'm not going to ask you about your past. Not now, and hopefully not ever. Not when it's clearly something that you either don't want to or can't tell me about. It's not that I don't want to tell you things, it's just that some things I can't talk about due to very, very real legal reasons, and other things I don't want you to know about because once you know, it'll change everything. That's what you really think? That there's anything I could learn about you that would change how I think of you? Uh, yeah, isn't that obvious? Dave. Incidentally, this is the exact topic I wanted to discuss with you. I try to hide how much my disease affects me even when it's not a full moon, because I know that once people recognize the wolf in me, I'll scare them off for good. Like, as soon as I open that fucking locker, that was the worst case scenario, okay? I was fucking doomed. Either I'd turn and Johnson would shoot me, or he'd shoot me just in case to put me out of my misery. Surviving what happened to me wasn't even supposed to be on the fucking board of possibilities, but somehow you changed that. You saved me. And my dad showed me the footage of what happened, and as grateful as I am that you did what you did, I was still heartbroken. Dave read the wall of gray text with a growing sense of incredulous disbelief, fixating on the word heartbroken as Karkat continued. I thought I'd lost you. I thought I'd scared you off for good. Like you'd saved my life on instinct, but once you'd had a few hours to internalize what had happened, you'd run from me just like everyone else. And just as I was trying to work through the thought of going back to school, to have to deal with the fact that you were now rightfully ignoring me, which I deserved, only to have you walk into my hospital room to visit me. I thought I was having a stroke for a second, but you were really there. You wanted to see me even after what had happened. Swallowing hard, Dave butted back into the conversation, fingers flying across the keyboard behind his safety textbook shield. Of course I did. Karkat, I was going crazy at the safe house all night wondering how you were and if you'd be okay or not. I didn't even fucking sleep. How could I? The last image I had of you was them rushing you to the hospital in the back of an ambulance. And don't you understand how fucking abnormal that is? Most people, when faced with the realization that a large part of the guy they've been hanging out with wants to rip out their beating heart, run the fuck away. Out of curiosity, how big of a part are we talking about? Half? More than half? I can't care too much anytime someone wants a piece of my sweet ass. Are we talking about the size as in a geological location? Like, how big exactly? Is this a house-sized hunger for hearts, or is it bigger? Rhode Island, perhaps? Like Ontario? Or is it the size of planet fucking Jupiter? Like, oh shit, that's a pretty big part, Carcat, not gonna lie. You get what I fucking mean, fuckface. And okay, maybe I exaggerated a little. I don't actually want to eat you, Dave. There is not a part of me that ever wants to rip out your heart. That's not how it works. Then why did you expect me to be afraid of you? Dave let his face flick up to the whiteboard, which was growing covered in texts and quotes that he took a second to glance over. He hadn't actually read the assigned book reading for this class, and he didn't plan to, but the mindless memorization came easily to him. Because that's what everyone else did. I had friends, at my first school. Lots of them. Not one of them stayed after what happened. They were all too afraid of me, of what I'd done. That wasn't you. You think I don't fucking know that? But they knew that too, and it still didn't matter. John. Never mind. I don't want to talk about the friends I lost, alright? I've already made my very bitter peace with that. The point is that I fully expected you to hate me after what happened last week. Karkat, I could never hate you. But you really should. I endangered your life. Fuck, Dave, you had a gun pointed at you, and that was all my fault. No, none of that was your fault. Not one little thing. This is the fault of some crazy lunatic who tried to kill you. And that's another thing. I'm so sorry, Dave, that you got tied up in this mess. You've got your own court case to deal with, and now there's this video of you saving my life, and it's not the kind of publicity that you need right now. I know that, and I'm sorry. But why did both Slick and my dad ask you for advice on what happened to me? You got that, huh? Yeah. Would it be too much to ask you to think that it was just Slick being an idiot? Because that's a statement as true as can be. Dave. Okay. Okay, I don't really know what you want me to say. The truth, maybe? What if I don't know what that is? What if I'm just really fucking knowledgeable about how people like this operate? People like who? People that try to kill kids in schools. Jesus Christ, Dave. Hey, you asked for the truth. I know. Shit, I'm sorry. I'm not even going to try and unpack that statement in any way, especially when you're not going to help explain it, are you? Nope. Okay, then. Moving on. The point behind all of this is that, for some unknown reason, you stayed. You didn't leave me then or now. I don't know how else to tell you this, but I don't exactly plan on leaving anytime soon. And I don't know how to tell you that I haven't had someone like that in a very long time. After I was turned, I had to reconstruct all my relationships with the constraint that, barring my dad, they would all eventually leave me out of fear. And they had a good reason too, Dave. I could have killed you. So? What the fuck do you mean, so? What the fuck, Dave? Wait, no, shit, not like that. I do actually care about staying alive, you know? But I knew from the beginning that being friends with you carried certain risks, and I accepted them. Does that make sense? You accepted them? Yeah. You knew the risk and just did it anyway? Just as easy as that? Well, yeah. And you weren't afraid of you? Nah. For you? Hell yes. One little brush with death isn't going to be enough to run me off, Karkat. Not now, and not ever. To tell you the truth, I don't think I'll ever be afraid of you. That's it. That's my last question. That's what was missing in the tapes they showed me. Your face, your actions, you were completely fearless. Are you really not afraid of me? Dave thought for a minute about his answer, about the emotions he'd felt during the attack, about how, even in the middle of it, staring down the barrel of a gun, he hadn't felt a touch of true fear beyond worry for Karkat. No, I'm not. Why? Dave swallowed thickly, 1,000 memories flashing through his mind at once, each one of the one thing that truly scared him. I think, and don't quote me on this, that I'm only really afraid of 3 things, and you're not one of them. Just like that? Yeah. And even now, even after coming close to dying with my teeth around your neck, you're still not afraid, and you won't leave me. I'm not afraid, and I'm not going to leave you. I promise. Dave, thank you. I'll see you in history. Dave looked up from his phone just in time to see the teacher gently set a pink detention slip on his desk and grinned. He and Karkat arrived to the door for history class at the exact same time, mostly because as soon as Karkat saw him, he picked up the pace, nearly jogging to catch up. Hey yourself, Dave replied, still taking him in. Today, Karkat looked almost completely back to normal. The only hint that something was off were the fearful glances the other students kept shooting in their direction, but fuck them. Karkat paused at the door. Dave flashed him the detention slip with a look of triumph. Karkat grimaced. Is that my fault? Nah, Dave answered, still grinning. I'd have devised another way to land my ass in detention, even if you hadn't started texting me. He waved the pink slip, content with his rule breaking. That's 3 hours worth of detention Friday already, and it's only Monday. Jesus, Karkat said, turning into the classroom as the late bell began to ring overhead. What else have you done today, you heathen? Little things, mostly, Dave shrugged. Texting in class, jailbreaking a lab computer, the basics. He grinned again, walking in step with Karkat to his seat. By this point, I alone probably make up the majority pay of whichever Friday teacher pulls detention duty. He fell into his seat beside Karkat as the classroom chatter began to die down. Why do you give yourself so much detention time? Karkat asked curiously as he opened his textbook to the correct chapter. Dave shrugged again. More time spent in detention is less time spent at the safe house, he rationalized, and Karkat blinked as the class lecture started, his attention sliding away as the teacher began to drone on and on about something involving the great economic crash of 2008, which stuck out in Dave's mind for a very different reason than those teachers offered, because Bro had been pissed that his stream of income was slowed as the global economy tanked before the payouts had become regular again. Sadistic bastard. Dave spent all of class etching out rap lyrics across his notebook, thinking very hard about nothing heavier than words that rhymed with joke. It was a great mental break. Then the bell rang again, and school was over for the day. It was a quick walk to the bus, and then an extra 10 minutes spent together before the bus dropped Karkat off at his dad's office. Almost as soon as the bus jolted back into motion, Dave had a text on his phone. I never got to say this to you in person today because I am in fact a chicken shit, but Dave, thank you again for sticking around, for saving my life, for everything. To me, you're more than just a good person. Remember that the next time you think about hacking into the school's mainframe or consider dumping weed killer across the front yard. Both excellent ideas, Karkat, thanks. Though I dumped the weed killer in the shape of a penis, just some great dick and balls right there across the front lawn for weeks until the grass grows back. Fucking artistic, really. I knew I should have kept my mouth shut. Now I'll be complacent in your rule breaking, won't I? Only if you admit publicly that this conversation ever happened. Your secret is safe with me. Just thank you. Really. Okay. Okay. Yeah, but can I say something as well? Sure. Thank you, too, for dealing with my bullshit and all the things I can't legally explain that fuck me up on a daily basis. For not asking the bad questions, but mostly for thinking that somehow, despite everything, that I'm a good person. You are a good person, Dave. Sometimes I think you just need help letting it out. But that good I see, it's in you all the time. Remember that, okay? Thanks. I think I needed to hear that. I'll see you tomorrow, okay? The bus stopped at the shitty mailbox, the pole leaning crooked. Dave could see the sunlight shining through the steel from when someone took a shotgun to the mailbox years ago, the punctures rusty with time. Dave stepped off the bus, the roadside gravel crunching beneath his feet before the ground transitioned into dirt and dead grass. From the outside, the safe house didn't look like much. It was run down but not decrepit, nothing a passing car would take any note of for any reason. But from here, Dave could make out the hidden glint of cameras hidden in the trees that flanked the house. Slick's car was in the driveway, its dark paint job dull beneath a layer of dust and grime that was subtly at odds with Slick's nitpickingly clean nature, because at this house, nothing was what it seemed. Dave could recognize a mask when he saw one, even on a fucking car. Slick wasn't in the kitchen when Dave walked into the house. He wasn't in the living room either. Dave stood at the threshold of the two rooms, teetering. It would have been so simple to continue on to his bedroom, shut the door behind him, and go back to pretending like nothing had changed. But Karkat's words kept bouncing around in Dave's skull like glass marbles. So he went ahead and bit the bullet. Slick, Dave called out without raising his voice. The sound of it echoed in the stillness of the seemingly empty house. Are you in here? There was a loud thump from the direction of Slick's bedroom, the sound of muffled cursing, and heavy footsteps across the creaky wooden floor as Dave's federal agent appeared around the corner, wearing a neatly pressed suit and a generally pissed-off look on his lined face. He blinked at where Dave stood. Dave, he asked, his voice gruff. What is it? Are we out of food? Dave shook his head. We're not out of food, he said, swallowing as the words in his throat dried up. Slick's eyebrows raised higher with suspicion at that, his expression sharpening as something in Dave's posture gave away the atmosphere in the room. Kid, he said, softer, gentler. What is it? Dave couldn't figure out how best to segue into such uncharted territory, so before he could convince himself to simply walk away, he said, I want to answer some questions about my bro. To Slick's credit, he didn't react. He simply nodded once, as if mulling the idea over in his mind. But, Dave forced out, trying to wrestle the shake out of his voice, nothing extreme, alright? At least not right off the bat. Understood, Slick nodded. And what do you want in return? Dave swallowed thickly. Nothing, he said, shrugging to lessen the seriousness of his answer, to degrade it down to nothing. I figured it's the least I could do to make sure that you get the bastard off the streets. Slick dipped his chin towards the kitchen table. His ever-present tape recorder appeared in his hand, pulled out of a deep pocket. Are you sure? Yeah, Dave swallowed down his inbred sense of self-preservation to nod along with the Fed. He was already doomed if Bro found him. He might as well make damn sure to drag Bro down to hell with him. What do you want to know? Dave didn't take a seat at the table, instead gripping the back of the chair until his knuckles turned white. Slick didn't sit either, though, like before, he set the recorder between them, its little red light blinking. First, Slick said, roughly clearing his throat with a harsh cough, I want you to know that with the help you gave us before, with the pictures, you helped a lot of families out there to start the road of recovery. Dave could stand here and debate all night about the impossibility of recovery after what had happened in that apartment, but that was besides the point. Slick was just trying to calm him down, to make him feel like his actions had good consequences, to make him keep talking. It was an easy tactic to spot. Dave felt his grip on the chair increase. What do you want to know? Slick stared at him. Let's not talk about them, the victims, he said, surprising Dave. Let's not talk about you, either, he said, before Dave could protest. Let's talk about him, Bro Strider, the self-made man, the ghost in our systems. Slick paused to gauge how well Dave was receiving the words before he continued. Do you even know his real name? No, Dave gulped. Everyone online only knew him as Strider, and I only ever knew his first name to be Bro. Strider's probably something he picked up along the way as a new name to own, to claim. Dave stared down at his hands. Even if you somehow find out who he was as a kid, it doesn't fucking matter. There's nothing buried in his past that you could use against him that he hasn't already buried or burned himself, just in case the worst case scenario happened, like me flipping on him. The last few words came out as a choke, and Dave could feel his nails pressing into his palms. Even if, against all odds, he has a mother living out somewhere, I can guarantee you he doesn't love her. Bro doesn't give a shit about anyone but himself. All right, Slick nodded, his voice calm and even. Why don't you tell me more about him? Dave took a deep breath to steady himself. What do you want to know? The question was an open invite into everything that Dave didn't want to ever say out loud, but he held back his dread for long enough to get the words out. I know you've been dying to profile him, to see what mold you can try to force him to fit into. I'll answer as many questions as I can. Slick nodded, differently this time, almost to himself as he tried to center his thoughts on the conversation. Why'd he do it? Slick asked quietly, his voice intense. What drove him to kill so many people? Complete strangers, even. Nothing, Dave said, shrugging. To him it was never anything more than a job, It's what he was good at doing, so he made it his living. He stared back impassively at the federal agent's look of disgust. That's not what you wanted to hear, is it? He pushed back just a little, just hard enough to keep his honest between them by virtue of being intentionally difficult. You want to know what box to pack him away into to make this go away the fastest, to explain away the crazy so that you feel safer at night. Like, just by labeling him an aberrant, you can curb the behavior in others. Maybe so, Slick said, surprising him. But there's power in knowing things about your enemy, Slick studied him. The more I know, the more I plan, the more places I think to look for him. The wider the net we've cast gets, the tighter the noose that you set around his neck grows. Some part of Dave knew that the image of a noose growing tighter around Bro's neck with each passing word out of his mouth should have pleased him. It should have made him feel validated, spiteful even. Instead, he just felt sick. You want to catch him, Dave said, stating the obvious. Yes, Slick answered. I want that more than anything. Why? Dave asked. Slick didn't blink. Because people like him deserve to pay with their lives for what they've done. I'm over-fucking-joyed that Texas still believes in executions. So you want him dead, Dave said, in the long, drawn-out legal way. No, Slick answered, sighing, but that's as close to happiness as I can get without breaking the law and murdering his foul ass. Dave would have smiled if this wasn't so serious. You'll never take Bro alive, Dave said simply. I don't care how you do it. That fucker all but sleeps with cyanide pills under his tongue, determined to have the last word in the end on his fucking terms. So you're saying he'll kill himself if we get close? Slick asked. No, Dave said, looking away. He'll force a shootout with police, and go out in a final blaze of violent glory, taking out as many cops and random bystanders with him as possible. He kept it as straightforward as possible, stating the facts. He'll never let himself get taken alive. Slick winced at that, as if he were imagining his team caught in the fictional crossfire. Well, the agent cuffed roughly, the sound raspy. Part of my job's to take the bastard still breathing. I thought your job was to keep me still breathing, Dave joked. You're only most of my job, Slick answered wryly. The other 50% is struggling to make sure that you stay safe, which can only be possible once your bro is behind bars. 50% isn't most, Dave argued, but the feeling was coming back into the ends of his fingers as the conversation stayed safe, until... Why'd he do it then? Slick asked, his voice so soft that Dave could scarcely hear him. If it was just a job to him, why'd he do it? Why'd he hurt you? Dave stared down at his hands, the knuckles white from where he'd gripped the chair. His shoulders ached with remembered pain, and all the lines that Bro had carved into him stung and twinged. Dave tried to answer because he knew why, didn't he? But the words couldn't pass his lips. There were 2 reasons why Bro had done what he'd done. 3, if Dave were being honest. And Dave could bring himself to say none of them out loud, so he stuck as close to the truth as he could, without revealing anything. Because he was a vicious bastard who could only hurt the people around him. Is that all? Slick asked, sensing Dave's hesitation. No, Dave said. But that's all for today, he said, and he carefully peeled his fingers free from the back of the chair and all but fled the room, his phone in his hand and a text to Carcat already typed up before he shut the bedroom door. Hey, Carcat, how's your homework coming along? I'm not doing mine, but algebra was hard as fuck today, so I just wanted to check in with you about it and make sure everything was okay. Dave, dear God, I don't understand how you have this uncanny instinct for knowing exactly what I'm struggling with. Why are there so many numbers in here? Why does math have numbers? Dave felt his breathing begin to even out again as he lost himself in carefully going over homework equations with Carcat, shoving everything else far away to deal with another day, because right now the only important thing was that Carcat was safe, and that Bro was still underground somewhere, and as long as Dave could count on those 2 things being separate, he might just get through this. Claps. Woo! Bit of an intense chapter. My goodness. Amen, Carcat. Being there for the lad. Ugh. Hold on, I have some Whoppers I'm gonna snack on between chapters. Math does suck. It's true. Alright, chapter 10. Whew, here we go. The next day, Dave found Carcat at school with a particularly sour expression on his face. His thick eyebrows were drawn together, and there was a scowl on his pretty lips. What's up? Dave asked by way of greeting, curious about what could piss Carcat off like this. Carcat's eyes flickered over to him, still scowling, though his expression began to soften at Dave's presence, even as he looked around to make sure they couldn't be overheard as Carcat leaned closer to speak, his voice simmering lower. The cops finished looking over my locker for clues about who tried to kill me, he said, annoyed but unsurprised. They found jack shit. Dave couldn't help but nod along. I know, he said. Slick mentioned it to me this morning, but I'd kind of guessed that by now. How? Karkat demanded to know, his voice raising. Dave shrugged. If they'd found anything, they'd have told you by now, he pointed out. They held on to their hope for a long time before admitting defeat. Defeat? Karkat questioned, one eyebrow quirked. Setback, Dave redirected. Minor setback. I'm sure they'll still have a few leads they'll be following. He looked around the mostly empty hallway as the bell rang and students began to file into classrooms. Can't be that hard to find out who all knew your exact locker number. That, or they hacked the school feeds to find it, or the information was leaked, or Dave cut off, the notion hitting him with a wave of nervousness. Or, Karkat prompted dryly, unmoving as the bell continued to drone. Or it was one of us. Dave swallowed thickly, not because of his last thought, but because he saw the pieces click together in his head. He kept talking anyway, just to get the final sentence out. A student. It can't have been that hard to get a hold of that much wolfsbane, not if you know where to look, or have been growing it out the back of a woodshed. Karkat cast a suspicious glance around the now empty hallway. That's what you really think? No, Dave answered. I think I already know who did it. It took Karkat a clear moment to process what Dave had said, and he broke off his next word with an astonished choke. You what? It came out with a near screech. Dave blinked behind his shades, his eyes dry. His heart was pounding. I think I know who did it, Dave repeated. I think I just figured it out. Karkat grabbed his arm, his grip tight but gentle. If it had been anyone else, Dave would have jerked away. Still, his arm shook with a tremor, and an instant later Karkat released him like he'd been shocked. Sorry, Karkat apologized in a hurry, but what do you mean you think you know? It took Dave a half-second to recalibrate after the unexpected touch, remembering the feel of Karkat's fingers through the thin material of his sleeve. Part of Dave wanted Karkat to touch him again, so he forced that part of himself to shut the hell up as he tried to focus. I need to call Slick, he said. Let's get to the office. Principal Warren and Officer Johnson need to know, and it's better that you're out of class for this. Your dad'll want to know too. What? Karkat, incredulous, as he looked around like he expected this mystery attacker to come around the corner, guns blazing. Come on, Dave said, starting towards the front office. Let's play hooky for now. Karkat jogged to keep up with him, Dave's feet moving too fast as he went into the office, already texting Slick on his phone. Okay, I think I figured something out about the case, something major. How fast can you make it to the school? This had better be good, kid. I'll be expecting a major break from you, like, let's say, computer codes or map coordinates. Wrong case, dude. I meant about Karkat, who might have just tried to murder him. You think you found out who did it? Probably. It all fits together nicely, but I'll tell you all about it when you get here. I'll be there in a minute. Don't do anything stupid. That's a pretty big ask, but okay. Dave, wait, Karkat called out to him as Dave threw open the doors to the front office, startling Officer Johnson, who was behind the long counter, his eyes on several screens that showed views of the school. Dave immediately turned to Warren's corner room. You can't just barge in there. Hell yes I can, Dave said, and he threw open the door, too, as Karkat reluctantly followed after him. Warren was in the middle of a phone call, but when he caught sight of Dave's face, he sighed, said, I'm gonna have to call you back, and hung up. He rubbed hard at his face. Dave, he said, not even trying to use his fake name anymore. There'd better be a good reason for this. Officer Johnson poked his head into the room curiously. What's going on in here? He asked. Great, Dave said. You should stay. Police are fucking good for stuff like this, right? Warren kept rubbing at his eyes as he sighed again. You're not exactly subtle, are you? There's time for that later. Dave waved away the man's concerns, on fire with the knowledge that kept running through his mind, trying to find a flaw in his reasoning, but coming up blank. He was right. He knew he was. He could feel it. Slick is on his way here now, and I don't think I can legally say anything else until he arrives. Legal counsel and all that shit, you know? Warren perked up, his eyes sharpening. What do you know? I can't say. Not yet, Dave answered, checking the time on his phone. 8:11 a.m. He wondered how many road laws Slick was prepared to break to get here the fastest. Can I at least assume that whatever this is, it involves Karkat? The principal asked wryly. Gold star, Dave rambled. Your power of deduction astounds us all, Sherlock. Fuck, what am I saying? That wasn't even clever. Shit. Dave was getting ramped up again, His mouth was running without any conscious input. Like, what the fuck? Of course it involves Karkat. I just figured out who tried to kill him. This was, of course, when the doors of the office were thrown open for a second time, and Agent Slick strode in, wearing a trench coat, his hat pulled low over his scarred face. "Dave," he all but growled, "this had better be fucking good." The room was feeling crowded with all these people on it. Dave grabbed for his rapidly deteriorating focus, blinking beneath his shades. His hands were shaking with excitement. He felt jittery and on edge. Karkat helped him reorient himself with a short word. "Dave," he said. "Focus." Dave took a deep breath. "You've been looking in the wrong place," he told his captive audience. "What happened last week wasn't random, but it also wasn't some unknown attack route for blood. It's the exact same guy that got him all those years ago." "What?" Karkat said, shocked. Slick said nothing, but he crossed his arms over his chest intently as Dave went on. "It's gotta be," Dave said. "It can't be a student because they couldn't have gotten past the front doors without someone noticing them purchasing the right equipment and building their doomsday device in a garage. Plus, any teacher or student would have left signs behind them, DNA or something. No, this was a professional, well thought out, and aimed specifically at Karkat and Karkat alone in a way that was intended to take him out, and maybe a few others too if they got lucky." Dave paused to suck in another breath before continuing in a rush. "Don't you see? It's the exact same MO as before." "Wait," Karkat said, gnawing at his lower lip with stress. "I wasn't targeted the first time. I was just the unlucky student that they grabbed." "Which cements my point," Dave explained. "Karkat, the guy that turned you only made one mistake. He left you alive. That wasn't supposed to ever happen." Dave shook his head, forcing the words out, though they stuck in his throat. "You weren't supposed to survive. You were the one loose end he never intended to leave behind." "So he came back to end it," Slick said, nodding along with Dave. "I think so," Dave said. "It makes sense. He attacked in a school, targeted Karkat in a way that would only affect him and him alone for the purposes of both killing him and releasing another turned werewolf in a school. That's not something a teacher or a student would risk, or any local families with an anti-wolf vendetta, not with other kids on the line." "But," Karkat protested. "Wait," Mr. Warren interrupted, his face serious. "Let him finish." Dave went on. "So he waited long enough for things to die down, for everyone protecting Karkat to settle into their routine, for us to get complacent with expecting everything to turn out okay, and then he struck again with a perfectly executed plan." "But why?" Karkat demanded to know, his voice choked. "Why come after me again in the first place? Why not just let me be?" His voice was heartbreaking, nearly pleading. "Because," Dave forced out, "I know people like this. I know how they work." "Dave," Slick said, his voice a warning not to say more. "Your survival would have itched like a splinter under the skin," Dave said, ignoring Slick. His eyes were only for Karkat, whose face had gone pale. "Especially once the doctors got a hold of you, picking and prying for the disease that he prides himself in having, figuring out all the lycanthropy secrets that he alone was supposed to know. Creating another wolf was never on his radar. Your survival was an accident in more ways than one, an accident that he couldn't stand. So he tried to kill you by repeating the exact same motif that he used the first time. Force you to turn, kill a few students if possible, and then have the police kill you to end it all." Dave finished up with a final biting statement. "That's why this happened. That's who did this. It isn't someone new. It's someone old." Slick was nodding, faintly prideful. "There you go, kid," he said. "That's how it's done." "Could he be right?" Officer Johnson asked, fidgeting in place from where he stood. "We weren't even looking at this being the original wolf. The captain was so convinced it was someone new." "No," Dave said, shaking his head. "It can't be. Not when everything fits together like this. That's not simple coincidence or circumstance." Karkat was looking at the ground, his eyes furrowed. "I always thought I'd never run into that monster again," he said, vehemently. "And I thought if I ever did, I'd know, I guess. Somehow, I'd know who he was." He let out a humorless laugh. "At the very least, I thought I'd smell him." "He hid himself well," Dave told him gently. "Just like last time. He's the only one who knows exactly how to hide from you." Karkat shrugged, looking up at Warren and Officer Johnson with watery eyes. Could it be true? And suddenly, Dave was hit with the realization about what this meant to Karkat, and he hated it. He had been so caught up in being right that he hadn't considered what this fucking meant to his friend. He He imagined being free from Bro for a few years, thinking that he was finally free, only to have Bro reappear, try to kill him again, and fuck up his idea of safety forever. Shit, it had only been 6 months since Dave had been free, and the thought of that was almost unbearable. Karkat, Dave said soft. Neither Warren nor Officer Johnson answered Karkat's question. I think we're done with this for today, Slick interrupted, coughing as he stepped forward, the long coat swirling around his feet. I've got to run this by my team, and Johnson, I know you've got to get this to your boss. And Mr. Vantis needs to be informed as well. He rubbed at the edge of his jaw with his knuckles, scratching at the dark scruff there as he studied Dave with a keen eye. I don't think it would do for either of them to be in school today, not after a shock like this. Dave could already feel the crash coming as his adrenaline wore off. It was getting harder to focus his eyes on single objects, the scene before him blurring together as the migraine began to settle into his frontal lobe, a not-so-gentle reminder of all the times he'd been hit in the head as a child. I'm fine, he said anyway. The last thing I want to do is spend the day sitting alone in your office while you do secret cop stuff. Well, someone's got to keep an eye on you, Slick told him. I trust you alone as much as I trust a toddler with a pistol. Fair, Dave muttered, his vision blurring. God, my head is killing me. Dave? Karkat asked, concerned. It's just a migraine. Dave waved away Karkat's concern. I'll go away in an hour or so, maybe 2 if I'm really lucky. Dave, Karkat repeated stubbornly. Come on, kid. Slick motioned over his shoulder at the door. I'll drive you to my office. Dave's shoulders sank, sullen and resolved to a miserable next few hours. Wait, Karkat called out. He can stay with me and my dad. We'll look after him. You? Slick barked out a laugh. Karkat stood his ground. He's been to my house before. It's the safest place in town. He was only at your house because he snuck his ass out, Slick protested gruffly, still pissed. And it's still the safest place to be, probably including your secret safe house, Karkat argued. You can pick him up after you're done at the office. Sitting alone in a chair with a migraine isn't good for anyone. And your dad? Slick asked sarcastically. We'll be fine with it, Karkat promised. He'd probably be overjoyed to see Dave again. He hasn't shut up about him since the attack. Really? Dave asked, not quite believing it. Yeah, Karkat answered. He's probably busy knitting you a hero sweater right now. Not about that, Dave quickly corrected. You really want me to come over again? Karkat blushed, his cheeks coloring scarlet as he said, hopefully. Maybe. Dave just grinned stupidly at Karkat as Slick let out a frustrated groan from the side. Jesus, the Fed complained. Watching this is going to give me a fucking migraine. What? Karkat snapped, overly defensive as his shoulders hunched. I really don't see the issue here. For one, Slick grunted, my car can't fit more than 2 people, so technically I don't see a way for either of you pair of miscreants to scram out of here on your own. Officer Johnson began, but was cut off viciously by Slick. Don't you fucking dare, the marshal growled out, glaring at the other officer as he leveled a finger at him. None of this is your fucking business anyway. I wasn't going to add anything into this shit pile of a negotiation, Johnson defended himself tersely as his radio beeped. I was only going to say that Mr. Vantis just arrived. Slick opened his mouth, shook his head, then closed it again, baring teeth. One day, he told Dave, his eyes glittering with a warning. And if you fuck this up in any way, I'm taking your phone privileges for a month. Deal, Dave said at once, the lights overhead pulsing in time with his heartbeat as his migraine spiked painfully. He was in no mood to argue for once, content to let Karkat do the talking for him. And take some goddamn medication for your headache, Slick ordered, squaring his shoulders as he studied Dave's completely blank expression. I won't allow you to sit there and suffer just to spite me. Trust me, Dave promised. It's not to spite you. He didn't actually like hurting. He'd much rather not have to deal with the migraine, but at the same time, the echo of Bro's voice picked at him, telling him to power through the ache in his skull. To not point it out, to not bring any attention to his hurting. But fuck that, he was allowed to complain now. Just give me some goddamn pills then. No cursing in my office, Principal Warren spoke up from behind his desk, all but forgotten. Fuck off, Dave muttered as loudly as he could, speaking on automatic as his vision went fuzzy. Shit. Dave, Karkat asked, concerned. Are you okay? I'm fine, Dave answered, not looking at him. It's in my head. It'll pass. He shrugged again. It's just head trauma returning to haunt me. Karkat's expression soured at that until his gaze lingered on the scar that graced the side of Dave's head. Okay, he allowed. What can I do to help? Get me out of here, Dave offered. It's too loud and bright. At that moment, Karkat's dad walked in, looking concerned as his eyes immediately sought out his son. Karkat? I'm fine, Dad, Karkat answered distractedly, still looking at Dave. Can I ask a favor? Sure, Mr. Vantis answered, his broad shoulders relaxing as he saw that no one was bleeding or anything. I was told to come pick you up. Yeah, about that, Karkat began. Can Dave come with us? He has a migraine, and he can't exactly go with Agent Slick right now. You bet your ass he can, Slick argued, putting his foot down. I am perfectly capable of looking after him. Shut up, Karkat snapped at him, and Dave grinned. Not in a police station, you can't. You tell him, Karkat, Dave said appreciatively, mumbling to keep his voice down. It didn't work, the words bouncing around loudly in his head. Mr. Vantis turned to Dave and his son in shock, taking in Dave's subdued nature. Of course, he answered. He can spend the day with us, sure thing, but I don't understand why this requires both of you to leave school. He ended it as a question, his voice going up in curiosity. Karkat answered him, his voice coldly serious. Dave also pretty much figured out who tried to kill me last week, and that isn't good news, so don't get excited. What? Mr. Vantis exclaimed, shocked. Well then, who did it? Who tried to kill my son? He asked in an almost growl, his eyes on the cops in the room, his hands and fists at his sides. The same guy as last time, Slick answered, his eyes glittering. He's trying to tie up loose ends. Mr. Vantis slammed his hand down flat on the principal's desk, the sound echoing. Karkat is not a loose end. Dave fought a wince at the unexpected noise, taking in the steel that flashed in Mr. Vantis's stony expression. We know that, Officer Johnson told Karkat's dad. We'll brief you later. For now, just get these kids out of here while we figure out what to do next. Mr. Vantis nodded, rubbing at his chin. Karkat, Dave, let's go. He turned to Slick, his eyes dark. We'll talk later. Agent Slick nodded in return, and Dave felt Karkat's gentle fingers tug at his sleeve, dragging his attention back to the room and off of the pain in his head again. Karkat didn't quite dare to touch him, but it was enough to ground him back in the moment. The pain itself wasn't beyond irritating to Dave. It was the rest of the symptoms that were harder to deal with. The way the lights shone brighter than they should have, surrounded by blinking, smudgy halos, even with his shades. The way noises echoed, the way his focus scattered into a dozen different disparate ways, to the point that actually understanding what was being said was difficult. Dave, Karkat said, and Dave blinked slowly at him, his unfocused gaze hidden. Yeah, he answered anyway. Come on, follow me. Karkat released his sleeve. Dave hated feeling like this. His head was stuffed with cotton, and a dull but persistent pounding rang between his ears as he nodded at the very angry but still worried Slick and followed after Karkat and Mr. Vantis. Dave kept silent the whole way through the school. His mind might have been experiencing technical difficulties, but he could still fucking think through the fog just fine. How often do you get headaches? Karkat asked softly, his scratchy voice just above a whisper. Maybe once or twice a month, Dave told him, glancing across the brilliantly lit parking lot with a hand up to shield his eyes from the blinding glare. Shit, that was too bright, and he still didn't know what the fuck Mr. Vantis's car even looked like, so he put his head down like the sunlight was physically weighing down on him, teeth gritted. His optic nerves were protesting loudly, but he ignored them. Mr. Vantis pulled out his keys with a jangle and hit a button. There was a light beep and a flash of headlights from a square, gray, and boxy car that looked exactly like a car that Mr. Vantis would own, until Dave spotted the solid steel roll cage welded into the car's frame through large windows. Karkat opened the back door and got in without a word. Dave copied him from the other side. The passenger seat was occupied by a massive box of papers and forms from the board office, so Dave and Karkat together were squished into the back seat. Dave reached up and wrapped his fingers around one of the bars of steel that surrounded him, the metal cold under his fingers. Overkill much? He asked wryly. My dad's paranoid, Karkat fake whispered back, buckling in. His leg was barely an inch away from Karkat's knee. Dave let his eyes close as Mr. Vantis started the car. The darkness helped his migraine as he struggled not to focus on how close Karkat was to him, or how being surrounded by the roll cage made him feel trapped instead of safe. He couldn't help but think if Karkat felt the same way, trapped by every aspect of his own safety, surrounded by constant reminders that people wanted him dead. Dave felt the car rumble to life beneath him, the slight jolt as it went into gear at odds with how silent the engine ran. How much money had Mr. Vantis poured into this unassuming vehicle? Dave wasn't sure he wanted to know, but when he peeked his eyes open, he saw the speedometer went up to 200 miles per hour. He closed his eyes again, breathing deeply during the brief drive over to Karkat's house. No one said anything the entire journey. It would have been awkward if Dave had cared about something like that. He opened his eyes again and felt the car slow to a gentle halt and then cut off. Karkat's house looked different in the daylight, the bright paint vivid and unfaded, the lawn neatly trimmed. Dave immediately felt that much more out of place. He knew he didn't belong in a neighborhood like this, much less a house like this one. "I'm not intruding, am I?" he asked quietly, the first words he'd spoken since they left school. "Of course not," Mr. Vantis scoffed. "Dave, you're always welcome here." For some reason, that made Dave just feel worse. Karkat shot him a worried glance, but said nothing. He got out of the car. He could feel his phone vibrating from where Slick was probably texting him, but ignored it anyway. His eyes were only for Karkat, patiently uncertain, waiting for a cue. "Follow me," Karkat said, also uncomfortable, but trying to hide it. Dave followed the two Vantises up to the front door. This time he could clearly see the cameras at the door, its red light blinking as it recorded them. "Don't worry," Mr. Vantis said, catching Dave staring at the camera. "That's the only one, and only we have access to the footage." He unlocked the door, each of the 3 locks clicking. "It's just a precaution." "I'm not worried about the footage," Dave answered honestly. "I trust you not to upload my image to YouTube or Instagram." "Out of curiosity," Mr. Vantis said, opening the door, "what would happen if someone did?" "Dad," Karkat complained, "you can't just ask things like that." "It's okay," Dave answered, shrugging. "You never see me again. Either Slick would immediately squirrel me away to fuck off's USA, or I'd be dead." Karkat didn't react. He'd heard Dave deadpan the truth before, but Mr. Vantis winced as he stepped inside the house. "Really?" Karkat's dad simply asked quietly. "Your situation is that bad?" "I don't lie," Dave said, "and my situation is fucked up." "I'll believe you," Mr. Vantis said, and Dave went inside the house. It was just as grand as it had been the first time. The school pictures lovingly framed along the wall made Karkat blush as Dave grinned at them. "All right," Mr. Vantis said. "I'll leave you 2 be, but ground rules," he said, winking. "No going into the basement and no locked bedroom doors. Actually, just stay downstairs where I can keep an eye on you, okay?" Karkat groaned, blushing even more. Dave kept his face carefully neutral at the suggestion that had his mind racing down paths he really shouldn't be thinking about right now. "Ignore him," Karkat suggested. "He lives to embarrass me." "Ah, what else are fathers for?" Mr. Vantis laughed, his teeth flashing a grin. "I love you, Karkat." "Love you too, Dad," Karkat sighed, his ears still scarlet. The casual display of affection caught Dave off guard. Was this really how normal families acted with each other? In an odd way, he both rejected and longed for that kind of easy care, but he knew better than to get his hopes up, so Dave pushed the idea of being part of a family one day to the back of his mind. Mr. Vantis went back to the study to do paperwork, leaving Karkat and Dave alone. "Oh, excuse me." "Come on," Karkat said, walking into the living room. "I'd bother you about helping me with my algebra homework, but not when you're clearly hurting." "I'm not," Dave said automatically. "Yes, you are," Karkat argued. "I can tell. You get quiet when you're in pain." Dave opened his mouth and then closed it again, caught between what he thought of himself and what pieces Karkat had put together on his own. "Nothing to say to that?" Karkat asked seriously, and Dave just shrugged. "That proves my point. You're quiet when you're hurting. You don't ramble on and make jokes to fill the silence." "It's just a headache," Dave defended himself, uncomfortable with the idea of anyone knowing he wasn't at 100%. A leftover from bro, for sure, but a hard habit to unlearn all the same. "Yes, so?" "Oh, from head trauma?" Karkat shot back at him, using his own words against him. "Yeah, so?" "Dave," Karkat sighed, and then he fell onto the couch. "Just sit down before you fall over." "I think you have a severe misunderstanding of what a migraine does," Dave joked, but he did sit down at the other end of the couch as Karkat flicked through his smartphone for a second, scowling at something he saw. "What?" Dave asked curiously. Karkat shook his head. "Doesn't matter," he said flatly. Then, "Tell me how you guessed who tried to kill me." Dave shook his head. "Doesn't matter." he said, expressionless. Tell me why you didn't think of him first. Karkat's eyes flashed up to meet his, nearly glowing. I hate trying to work around all your secrets, he said. I'm sorry, Dave said, meaning it. He held Karkat's red gaze. Maybe one day I can tell you them all. Maybe he could one day, if he was lucky and Bro sloppy. Maybe one day he wouldn't have to choke back the real questions he wanted to ask, the real words he wanted to say. His head was still pounding. But not now? Karkat asked. Not now, Dave admitted, his fingers curling against his knees to stop himself from reaching for Karkat's hand. Why didn't you consider the attacker being the first guy? It seemed like the most obvious solution. I did, Karkat looked down. Just not seriously. Why not? Karkat broke off to sigh, or to shrug, his shoulders slumping. I always thought I'd never run into him again. After my old school, he vanished into the wind. It's been years since then, and no one has been able to locate him. His fingers picked at the loose threads and arm of the couch. And I always thought, and this is stupid, I know, that if he was nearby, I'd know. I'd fucking know, alright? He laughed helplessly, just a single exhale of breath. I'd fucking smell him, or something. Or just know in some magical bullshit werewolf way. But you didn't know? Dave asked. Duh. Karkat rolled his eyes. I wouldn't have opened my fucking locker if I had the faintest clue something was wrong. Scent? Dave asked, curious. Is that a valid way to tell who might have done it? Maybe if I could get near enough to sniff around my old locker without dying of wolfsbane exposure, Karkat said wryly. I already thought of that one, and it's a long shot considering how many people walk past that point every single day. Dave grunted in response, thinking. You were going to say something earlier, but didn't, he mentioned. What is it? Oh, Karkat said darkly. His hands were suddenly in fists at his side. Don't tell my dad this, but if I ever meet the man that did this to me, face to face, I'll kill him. He looked at Dave. Is it the same for you? What? Dave asked, not understanding. You're running from someone, Karkat said, matter of fact. Someone who hurt you. He motioned at Dave's hands and head at the scars that littered his pale skin. If you could find them, and kill them, and finally be free, would you? Maybe Slick had been right. This is what Dave got for not keeping his mouth shut. What else had Karkat figured out? No, Dave said decisively. He didn't even have to think about it. I wouldn't. I don't think I could. Hypothetically, though, Karkat tried again. No, Dave said, shaking his head. It's not a question of skill or legality. I just couldn't. Why not? Karkat asked, because to him this was so black and white. He didn't have to deal with the shades of gray Dave was perpetually drowning in. He couldn't kill Bro. He couldn't. Not even if Bro was tied to a chair with Dave holding a gun. I'm just not a killer, Dave answered, and that was the truth, even if it wasn't the truth Karkat was looking for. That was the one thing Bro had failed to instill into his psyche. Dave wasn't a killer. I didn't think I was either, and I'm not talking about me as the wolf, Karkat said softly. But I can't make myself stop thinking about it, he said, like he would a shameful secret. He's a monster the world would be better off without. I know, Dave said, and they sat there in agreement. Karkat raised his fist. To our monsters, he said grandly. May we one day defeat them. Dave grinned and reached up to bump his knuckles against Karkat's, his skin singing at the brief contact as he hoped that one day his words would be true. To our monsters, he repeated. May they rest in fucking peace. What a lovely chapter. My goodness. Alright, we got one more to go, I think. There's one more in me. Yeah, we got one more in me. Oh boy, notes this time. Oh boy, those notes. Aw, thank you for the stretch, Leon. Oh, hear those bones crack. My goodness. Okay. I gotta wrap myself in my blanket. It's getting kind of cold. Where I'm at. Okay. All aboard the angst train. Oh boy. Chapter 11. 5.2k words. Here we go. Excuse me. There we go. It was all over the news when Dave woke up, splashed across the television screen from the only TV in the safe house in red letters. Slick sat in the armchair in front of the unused entertainment system, glaring at the screen with wariness. Breaking news, the headline read. Possible serial killer still at large. Victims may number over 100. Dave froze at the sight of the screen, sickness twisting through him. Slick turned his head to stare solemnly at Dave, who watched with a blank expression. Well, Slick sighed. We managed to keep it quiet for over a full month. That's longer than we projected. The media can be a terrible thing. There was a woman on screen crying into the camera, clutching a photograph of someone Dave recognized as one of the 22 people he'd identified. He didn't need to read the news title to know who she was. He could see the familial resemblance in her face as she sobbed over her lost child. Dave's heart felt heavy. His belly was full of broken glass. The camera panned over the other families standing, united, together, begging for justice, for closure, for answers. He's going to see this. Dave forced himself to speak. Bro's going to be pissed. He's going to know I turned on him. Yeah, Slick didn't bother lying. He will. The Fed didn't say anything about upped protection, guards, or suspended travel rights, but he did say, "Go back to sleep, Dave. No school today." Why? Dave instantly argued, hating the idea of staying here for another second. The walls were pressing in on him. "We have work to do," Agent Slick answered. "I'll wake you when the rest of my team gets here." Dave nodded, his neck stiff and his knees wobbly as he turned on his heels and strode into the kitchen as calmly as he could to throw up violently in the trash can. He was surprised to see that blood didn't come up with the bile from the force. It felt like he'd been cut on the inside, heaving up all his organs in wretched mouthfuls of acid. When he was done, he felt shaky and weak, ashamed that Slick must have heard him from the living room. But the Fed thankfully left him alone in his misery as Dave mechanically tied the trash bags shut to try and contain the smell. He went back into his room to pace the floor in quick steps. He wanted to run. Instead, he texted Carcat. "I won't be there today. Sorry. Shit happened and Slick has me on lockdown. I'm okay and everything should be fine. There's just some stuff that I have to do today that outranks school." Carcat's reply was instant. "That sucks, man. What kind of stuff?" "Case stuff. Mine, not yours." "Damn. Is there anything I can do to help?" "No. Well, maybe yes. I'll probably be really fucked up later, so please take any dumbass thing I text you in response with a grain of salt. I'd like to say I won't mean it, except that I probably will, so ignore me, please." "You can't want that, right?" "Maybe. I don't know. I guess that depends on how bad things get." "What do you do? What casework could possibly be worth this? Why do you do this to yourself?" "2 reasons. One, it's the price I pay for witness protection help. I give them info. They keep me alive." "Wait, I thought you were going to be a witness. You give them information?" "It's a little bit of both. Right now it's mostly info because they haven't caught... Never mind, I can't exactly be a witness for a case that hasn't been started yet, so right now it's mainly info. 2, I don't do this for me. If this were about me, I'd leave it be, but there's still people that I might be able to help." "How do you help them?" I can't answer that. Sorry, I don't even know the answer or what words I can and can't say." "But you are helping people, right?" Dave thought about the crying woman, the grieving mother whose daughter Dave hadn't saved. He just looked away and wished he lived in a different life as she screamed for help. He thought of the other families, of the idea of closure and its impossible promise of healing, the fucked up way that he was responsible for all of their suffering, and yet Slick and the others thought that he was the key to their salvation. It just wasn't fair. None of this was fair. Sometimes it isn't that easy, Carcat. Nothing is as black and white as you think. There was a pause in the incoming text. Dave heard nothing but the sound of his own breathing until his phone vibrated again. You do this thing, you know, where you separate yourself from anything that resembles a compliment or proof of a good deed. Why is it so hard for you to believe that you're capable of helping someone else? I might be helping them now, but I hurt them first. And what I did can't be forgiven. It blacks out anything good I might do in the future, even if I spend the rest of my goddamn life trying to make up for what I did. Karkat was tactful enough not to ask what Dave had done, but he still wasn't finished. I'm not sure I believe that. One deed, good or bad, can't hold that much influence. It wasn't one deed. Trust me, please. Believe me when I say that there are things in this world that can't be forgiven or buried, and these things leave stains that can't be wiped out. Hey, listen. I brutally murdered over 30 of my classmates, remember? If anyone knows about sins that can't be wiped away, it's me. That wasn't you. Maybe not mentally, but I think you use that whole "that wasn't you" excuse as a blanket term to separate me and my wolf. We are the exact same being. We share the same body. I am him, and he is me. They died by my actions, by my fucking teeth. I can't argue that I didn't kill them, even if I pray that it wasn't true. And okay, you might have done something bad in the past, but so did I. And look at me. You don't see me letting it take over my entire life, believing that I'm not capable of anything good anymore just because a monster decided to use me. Dave's throat was hurting. How the hell did Karkat always know exactly what to say? It was on the tips of his fingers, a cruel answer, something sharp and cutting, a reflexive attempt to shove Karkat away so he couldn't keep getting closer to the truth. A month ago, he would have typed it out and severed all hope of friendship, or maybe even something more, but he was trying to be kinder to himself, even when he didn't think he was worth it. So he restrained himself enough to type out. Maybe I do use that as a blanket term for forgiveness, but there's one vital difference between me and you. And what's that? You didn't have a choice. Did you? Dave bit his lip and looked away. His fingers were shaking. And there it was, the crux of the issue about everything that had happened. Different people had told him different answers to this question. Slick thought he was innocent, false as that was, but Dave didn't think that he was as guilty as Droog thought. Or was he? What was the definition of guilt here? Had he really had a fucking choice? No. Slick would probably sing Hallelujah if he knew what Dave had just typed out. That first incredibly important step to accepting that he wasn't an awful, irredeemable human being, but Slick could go fuck himself if he thought for even 1 second that things would be that easy. Then how the fuck are we different? Good question. You couldn't have changed anything. You couldn't have stopped the bad thing from happening. I could have, and I didn't. I don't believe that. That's not you. Believe me, it's true. Then defend it. Prove it. Because I can't believe that you would do something like this. You know I can't do that. You already know too much. Then don't expect me to accept it. Didn't you just ask me to take everything you said today with a grain of salt? Fuck. I'm sorry, Dave, but if you refuse to see the good in yourself, then I will have to take upon myself the incredible task of proving it to you, because you're a good fucking person, and I can't stand that you think differently. Okay. Whatever. I'm not trying to convince you of anything. I'm just stating the facts. And I've got to go now. I'll text you later, okay? Running away again? You know, the first step might be staying to talk this out, rather than running as soon as the shit gets serious. I just can't, okay? Not right now. Please. Okay. But I will contact you later, and you'd better answer. Okay. Dave flipped his phone shut, breathing hard. How many reckless mistakes will it take to drive Karkat away from him under the weight of what he's done? How many pieces until things start to click together like the shittiest of puzzles, a riddle from a diseased puppet spewing dying prophecies of death under a camera's glare? Did he dare dream that one day Karkat would know the truth and not be horrified? Or worse, would pity light up his red eyes rather than hate and poison everything thereafter with its sticky false sweetness until everything had rotted away? There was a knock on the door. Dave could hear it from his bedroom, loud enough to rattle the window from its booming as Boxcar banged one oversized and meaty fist against the wood. Dave sighed, resigned to his fate. He went back into the living room. The rest of Slick's team were there, combing through piles of photographs as Deuce set up a fancy overclocked laptop in the corner. Droog was armed. Dave instantly spotted the subtle lump at the side of what meant to be a shoulder holster. Slick at least had the decency to have left his gun in his room. Dave, the Fed asked, "Are you ready?" "What are these?" Dave asked blankly, like he didn't know the answer. "More missing persons," Slick said gently, going back longer and covering a wider area than last time. Dave nodded. So they were tightening their net, weeding out more of Bro's victims, looking in other nearby states as well for clues on who Dave might have seen in the apartment. "Don't bother laying them out," Dave said, sliding into a chair at the table. "Just hand them to me." "Clubs," Slick grunted to the shorter man at the laptop. "You ready?" "Yep," the Fed said cheerfully. "We're ready to begin." Droog was busy organizing the photographs into piles as Slick sorted through them. Boxcar lurked like a mountain in the corner, watching silently. Dave gulped when Slick handed him the first photograph, but that was okay, because it was a man Dave didn't know. This sad pattern continued for nearly 20 minutes, Dave neatly stacking the discarded photos aside before Slick wordlessly handed him the next one. The man's face struck him like a punch to the gut. In life, he'd been a large man, thickly muscled and brawny, until Bro had flayed him open like a fish. Here's the thing. Bro's victims rarely cried until after he'd won. It was almost like they could sense that tears would have no effect on someone as cold as Bro, or they were spiteful and strong-willed enough to keep their suffering to themselves as much as possible, wary of the cameras they knew were on them, and the sick freaks who were paying to watch Bro break them. In the end, they all cried. But this man had sobbed before Bro had ever touched him with a knife, and Bro had called Dave in to look. "Look at this sorry fucker," Bro had said, carelessly dancing the knife across the man's skin with just enough force to scratch but not draw blood. "Crying like a piss baby." And then come the warning as Bro dug the knife deeper this time, the man staring at Dave the entire time, begging for help. "If I ever catch so much as a single tear out of you, you'll be the next one I strap in this chair. Understood?" Dave had nodded mechanically. He'd have agreed to anything as long as it got him out of the room that smelled like blood, no matter how well he'd scrubbed it up afterwards. "Dave?" Slick asked softly, bringing him back to himself. Dave blinked away the shadow of blood underneath his shades. "Yeah," he croaked. "Do you know him?" Slick asked patiently, drawing the answers out of him. "What do you fucking think?" Dave spat back, suddenly venomous. "Why are we doing this? What difference does it make?" "Kid," Slick tried. "No," Dave snapped. "No, don't feed me some bullshit about closure. All we're doing is reopening old wounds and causing even more pain to the people we're supposed to be helping." "Don't think of it like that, then," Slick told him as Droog crossed his arms over his chest. "Think of it as tightening the noose around Bro's neck. Every person you identify is another mark against him. And we already have enough people for any jury in the country to sentence him to death," Dave argued. "Every other person we tack to his name now is just giving him more credit that he wants." And he could argue this all day. If Bro went down the legal way, he'd grin over every person the cops pinned on him, boasting that there'd be others the feds would never find. But Slick changed the tone again, vying for his sense of shame. "Then think of the people who want to know what happened to their loved ones," he asked. "They already know," Dave said coldly. "They're dead. The details don't fucking matter." "If it were you, would you think the same?" Slick demanded, his voice hard. Dave froze, because Slick didn't know this, but Dave had already experienced exactly what these families were going through, and with Dirk's name screaming in his mind, it was hard not to admit that no, he didn't want to know the fucking details, but it was bad enough just to guess. "Fine," Dave all but yelled, grabbing the next pile of photographs and spreading them out between his fingers like a stack of cards, only to immediately discard them. They scattered across the floor, a sea of lost faces. He reached for another stack. "I'll do this your way, motherfuckers." This time he flung the photos down within 3 seconds. They fluttered the ground, adding to the mess he was making as Dave swung his arms through the stack of photos he'd already looked through to add them to the chaos. More faces flung around. He couldn't stand the feeling of glossy photo paper smearing beneath his fingertips, so he ripped a random photo in half. The sound of paper tearing in half was shockingly loud. "Dave!" Slick yelled, raising his voice. Dave tore through another stack of photos, frantic. He threw them up in the air, and they flew around him on an invisible wind, dancing around his head. "Dave!" Slick reached out for him, but Dave jumped away like his touch burned. He went to throw down the next stack of pictures, but the woman's face on top stopped him. So he carefully picked up her photo as everything inside him went deadly silent. The photos he'd thrown settled on the floor around him. It looked like a hurricane had torn through the room, and the stillness that came after Dave was left standing alone, his hands and fists at his side. "I know her," Dave admitted, speaking into the shocked silence. He gestured at the photo that had set him off, the only one untouched on the table. "Him too, probably. I know a lot of faces I haven't got to yet. But how is this helping? How is this helping anyone?" "Dave," Slick said again, and this time his voice was gentle as he stepped closer. "I know you're hurting, but this isn't the way to go about it." "Fuck you," Dave choked out, shaking. "Take whatever shit you want to say to me next and shove it up your ass." "Hey," Slick said softly, palms out like Dave was a feral animal he was trying to calm. In an instant, Dave hated the man. Heat burned in his eyes, blurring his vision. Slick kept slowly stepping closer, full of endless patience and understanding that Dave couldn't fucking stand. He wanted anger. He wanted hatred. He expected the stinging shock of a backhanded blow, a fight, something fierce and violent and brutal. So Dave didn't quite comprehend the overwhelming gentleness of the embrace that Slick locked him in. This wasn't like when Carcat had hugged him as Dave stood shaking. Slick wasn't the tallest man, but he was still an inch or so taller than Dave, and he was gruff and smelled like cigar smoke and aftershave. And where Carcat had been full of a shared closeness, something earned, Slick's embrace was rougher, hard, but grounding. Dave blinked, confused, but he didn't pull away. "Easy," Slick said to him. "I know this is hard. I know we're asking for a lot. I know you're still full of anger, and you don't know who to aim it at. Just breathe. Focus. Remember why you're here." The words forced Dave back to what had driven him to break his bedroom window, dangling by his fingertips in the air, the fire escape too far away to reach without a little hardcore parkour 24 stories up, and the way his legs had ached worse than the stab wound in his shoulder, the skin split open and raw as he left behind bloody handprints on the rotting side paneling. "I'm here because I couldn't live there any longer," Dave forced out, the words burning on the way out. "He was going to kill me." "Is that the only reason?" Slick asked gently. "Your own safety?" "No," Dave admitted brokenly, though he never say why. "But I just want this to be over." He didn't care that the rest of the Midnight Crew were watching. He didn't care about anything. His anger had left him floundering in numbness. Slick released him and held him at arm's length, his eyes piercing and full of questions. "I wish I could tell you more," Dave said. "I wish I could tell you exactly where he buried the bodies, but I never learned where, just that it was out in a desert somewhere." Brode returned with a shovel and red dirt crust under his nails, and he hit Dave the one time he'd asked why. "I wish you'd find him already and end this. I wish this was easier for me." He looked Slick directly in the face. "And I wish you didn't care so fucking much." "Dave," Slick said, wounded as behind him Droog made an angry noise. Dave ignored him. I was just supposed to be a job to you," he spat out cruelly. "I wasn't supposed to be anything more than a means to an end. Your star fucking witness and nothing else." "Well, you sure went and fucked that up, didn't you?" Slick told him, scoffing. Like anyone with an ounce of decency could take one look at you and not fucking care. Dave shook his shoulders free of Slick's hands, but the worst was over and they both knew it. The fight had gone out of him, but stubbornness remained. "Don't," Dave asked, desperate. "Don't fucking pity me." "You deserve more than shit,"
Slick said, throwing his arms wide. But you've still got to fucking earn it, kid. You want the world to treat you better? Treat it better first. How? Dave asked. Slick motioned to the sea of pictures around them. You can start by helping out a few more families find out what happened to their kids, to their brothers and sisters, to their fathers and mothers. You can start by giving back a little. Why? Dave asked. I've always treated the world as fairly as I could, and it never gave me anything but blood in return. Do it for you, Slick asked. Do it for yourself. He looked Dave in the eyes. Do it to be the person I know you want to be. Dave sighed, his breath letting out as his shoulders slumped, defeated. He reached for the thin line of pushing back till he snapped or giving in. He didn't feel like making things hard as possible anymore. Not today, at least. Okay, he said, sitting back down at the table. Okay. I'll try. Slick handed him the next photo. Dave, he said, trying is all we can ever do. It took a few hours to go through the rest of the photos. Some of them went back nearly 10 years from as far away as Oklahoma City or the Mexican border. A few were even from Arizona. There was no rhyme or reason to them. Even after all these years, Dave still wasn't exactly sure what had been about these people that had caught Bro's fancy. After Club Deuce had entered in the last name to match the final face Dave had identified, Dave went back to his room. He could still hear them talking through the walls as he pulled up Carcat's number. It was still during their lunch hour at school, but there wasn't a lot of time left, so Dave made his fingers hurry. Yo, I'm done. Are you there? The reply was instant. How did your mystery legal task go? Like shit. I kind of freaked the fuck out and started throwing things in the beginning. Okay, maybe that sounds worse than it was, but it's true. I thought Slick was going to hit me for a moment, but all the fucker did was hug me, which also freaked me out, but in a different way. He was going to hit you? What? No, not Slick. I guess I'm just used to the idea of people hitting me for being a little shit, and for a moment I expected him to, but he didn't even do anything angry, even though I clearly deserved his anger because I reiterate, I was being a little shit and freaked the fuck out over something that should have been basic by now. Dave. What? Never mind. Are you okay now? I'm getting there, slowly. Just keep talking to me and I'll calm down. Okay, the least I can do is take a page out of your book and info dump a mountain of useless shit into this ongoing conversation. So, guess what? What? There's two giant and kind of problematic things that I found out about this morning, and like you, I might also be freaking the fuck out about them. Oh, shit, really? What's fucking you up? I was going to wait to tell you in person, but I guess text will have to do for now. The first is that I've been personally invited to make an appearance as part of a news interview that's been covering my most recent murder attempt. I've been asked to appear live and submit myself to what basically counts as an interrogation. You've been asked? That means you can say no, right? Technically, yes, but here's the thing. I'm gonna say yes. I think the world deserves to see me as a real person and not as the monster the media portrayed me as after I first turned. I may be a werewolf now, but I'm still a person, and I know that a lot of people out there wish I'd died, but that's because they don't fucking know me. To them, I'm nothing but a name and a face with a body count. And I want to change that. I'm going to change that. As apprehensive as I am, I understand that this is a huge chance that I can't give up. If I'm going to force the world to accept me, I can't run and hide from the first opportunity to actually get out there and prove to them that I deserve the chance to live my life, that I deserve to exist, even if the idea of an interview scares me shitless. Damn. You're braver than me. Like, I can't fucking stand the idea of having a camera watching me in any way, shape, or form. Do you think that's a good idea? Going to the interview? Hell yes. Hell fucking yes. Get up there in front of those smarmy news people and fly off the fucking handle at them. Do a majestic pre-ed off the fucking handle so hard that no one will ever come close to flipping such shit as you ever again. It is you. You are the master. of shit flipping. Force them to take in your side of the story. Don't back down from the fact that, yes, bad shit happened, but that doesn't immediately negate the fact that you deserve to be treated like a human being. God, I wish I could get you to believe the very same words you just told me. You are such a fucking hypocrite, Dave. What? No, besides, we're talking about you now. What's the second thing? Nice subject change there, Mr. Subtle. Anyway, the second thing is the one that's really bothering me, because it presents an acute and pressing issue. My dad has to go to a mandatory school board meeting in 2 weeks. So the full moon is in 2 weeks, dumbass. Oh, shit. So your dad won't be there for you? I don't know. There's still a chance that he'll cancel his spot at the meeting, but I don't want him to get in trouble with the school board because of me. He's already in enough shit with them as it is for skipping work so much every month. That's probably the worst part of the full moon, knowing that I'm dragging my dad down with me. I hate that I'm his ball and chain. As awful as that sounds, it can't really be like that, right? Like, there's a 0% chance that he's in the same room as you turned or anything, because not only would that be fucked up, it would be stupid. Don't be an idiot, Dave. Of course he's not in the same fucking room as me. I'd fucking kill him if he was, moron. That's not how it works. I have a feeling that if I ask how it works, you won't tell me. I guess we both have secrets we'd have to keep from each other. I know. Yeah. So there's a chance that he'd have to leave for a meeting while on a full moon, and for reasons I can't say, that would be a very bad thing. Don't you have, like, a backup person for this? Technically, yes, but that involves me being locked up at a big state hospital in Skya like I was in the beginning before we moved here and finished renovating the house, and I don't want to go back to that. I'd much rather do this at home, but if it'll be safer, I guess I'll have to leave. That's like negative progress, but whatever. If it happens, it happens. It's just something I'll have to stress over the next 2 weeks for. Is there anything I can do to help? I don't think so, unless you develop a cure for lycanthropy before the next full moon. I'm sorry. I wish there was something I could do to help you out, somehow. I know full moons must suck hardcore ass. Yeah, but they're not as bad as they used to be. I'm used to the routine by now. I know that if I follow the steps I created, that everything will be okay. Doesn't mean they don't fucking suck, though. Yeah, they totally, all around, just suck ass. Full moons are the champion ass suckers. They're probably why I have no ass. They sucked it. Dave? What? Oh my fucking god, I am laughing so hard right now. Dave couldn't help but grin at the idea of Karkat laughing. The feel of the smile chased away the last of his lingering nerves from this morning, and the tension left his shoulders. He couldn't help but egg Karkat on. Why'd you think I was assless? If the moon didn't suck it all away, like the greedy moon goblin it is, constantly hungering for only the most succulent of asses. Why'd you think bearing ass was called morning people, Karkat? The moon fucking nerfed me so that my ass wouldn't cause traffic accidents as I walked by, cheeks clapping. Hold on, I can do the sound. You picked that up. Okay, cool. I think I literally feel a tear. Oh my god, I haven't laughed this hard in months. Dave, as hard as I am laughing right now, I have to say that you do actually have an ass, you know? Are you admitting that you've checked out my ass? Listen. Now it was Dave's turn to laugh. Maybe it wasn't that loud or long, but it rang true. Oh my fucking god, you've checked out my ass. Did you like it? I am not answering that. Dude, chill. It's totally okay. I know my ass is just irresistible like that. No, that's not what I mean at all. Why, are you blushing or something? No. Oh my fucking god. Do I have a good ass at least? Is it worthy of being checked out? Stop that. I am not thinking about your ass. Okay, I'll stop, but only because you asked me to. Thank you. Ugh, I'm still fucking giggling over there. I blame you. That's okay. I know I'm hilarious. Shit, the bell's ringing. I've gotta go. Talk to you later, okay? The hopeful question made Dave grin again. Always. Have a good day at school, Karkat. Thanks. No. Thank you. Dave snapped his phone closed before Karkat could reply, and at last he felt like today might not be that bad after all.
I love them so much. They're my little guys. How long's the next chapter? If the next chapter is could we go another 30 minutes? We could. Oh, do I want to? Vote in the poll. You guys tell me. Do we do one more, yes or no? Excuse me. Oh my god. Oh my god, look at that. I guess I have to do one more. The chat demands it. Yes, procrastinating schoolwork. Alright. Well, if I have to, you know, it's what the viewers want, right? Obviously. I'm obligated now. Yeah, right? That's what yeah, exactly, duality. I just have to. Alright. Okay, I get to eat a Whopper though, really quick. I love democracy. Alright. Oh, the only thing is my mouth is all watery after I eat them. Which fucks up my reading a little bit, but that's okay. Okay. Chapter 12. In a weird way, it was like nothing bad happened. News about the serial killer broke softly in the Midwest. That was a Texas thing. It didn't affect them, so far away from people that Bro had hurt that the distance lulled Dave into a false sense of security, until he caught an earful of students talking about it at the school in excited voices, and his hands flushed cold from blood loss of how tightly he'd clenched his fist. Karkat, damn him, noticed. You okay? He asked, concerned. Dave pulled his attention away from the gaggle of jocks and cheerleaders, whispering to themselves and speculating like they somehow knew enough about Bro to guess what the cops hadn't with their dumb theories. I'm fine, he said, shooting a fake grin at Karkat. Karkat didn't look convinced, but he hadn't noticed what the other students were talking about yet, and Dave had to tread the thin line of keeping Karkat in the dark. It'd be too easy to just stare at him, nervous but trusting until Karkat put the pieces together on his own. He was a smart kid. He could do it easily, so Dave had to be very careful as he schooled his expression into nonchalance. Karkat was still staring at him, like he sensed the act for what it was, and who knows, he probably could hear Dave's raised heartbeat or some shit with his super wolf hearing. But instead of pressing the subject, he switched topics. What are you gonna do when school ends? He asked. You can't just stay locked up at your mystery safe house all goddamn day. It's still months away, Dave shrugged. All things can change in that amount of time. Who knows? He joked. I might be free by then. He wasn't sure how to react to the idea of freedom. It was such a foreign concept to him. Free how? Karkat asked, and Dave fed him the smallest bit of truth. If the cops finally catches after me, I'll be free to testify without fear of retribution, he explained, lacing his fingers together behind his back with a quick grin. I'll be free. Free of what, though? Slick's overbearing parental presence, the bore of the safe house. He wasn't sure if he wanted that yet. He wasn't sure how to live without a collar around his throat and an ankle bracelet at his foot chafed at him. Is that what you want? Karkat asked as the overhead bell rang. To be free? Suddenly, Dave wasn't sure what he wanted, so he turned the question around. Wouldn't you? Dave asked. Karkat scowled. I'll never be free, he answered. Not even if they catch the wolf who turned me. The damage has been done. In a way, Dave understood. You'll be free from fear, though, Dave told him, free of wondering when he'll reappear to try to kill you again. People will always try to kill me, Karkat answered wryly as he slammed his locker closed. I will never be free of that.
He turned to go find his classroom down the hall, but Dave stopped him with a word. Me either, he said, gulping. Carcat gave him a long, hard look, his red gaze full of unasked questions before he sighed and went to class. Dave dragged his feet to his own classroom, lost in his thoughts as he imagined a life free from Bro Strider. The constant crippling fear that he kept permanently shoved into the back of his mind might go away once Bro was either dead or behind bars. But would that be enough to keep him safe? Would Bro have used his connections to other sketchy killers on the dark web to ensure Dave's demise if he went down, hired an assassin or some kind of professional hitman? That seemed likely, but what was more likely was the thought that once this story eventually broke and became public, the families of all of Bro's victims would know his name. They'd know his face. They'd know he didn't save their loved ones. Worse, he was fucking complacent to countless murders. Would they target him for a little illegal justice, put the blame where the blame was rightly due? Dave stared off into the middle distance as his English teacher began her lecture. Would he ever get to live a normal life? The teacher droned on about something in Latin that he didn't give a shit about as he doodled down on the edge of his notebook, drawing hard, angled lines into something that somehow consolidated into Carcat's face. He erased the picture with a frown, fingers shaking. There was a question here that he probably had to face soon, because he understood that he liked Carcat and wanted more from him than simple friendship, but was unsure and unwilling to try for anything more than what he already had, for multiple reasons. Even if Carcat had admitted to checking him out, that was some kind of declaration of feelings, was it? Dave had to know. But, no, it was too risky. He nodded his bottom lip, tapping his pen against the desktop, just to be loud enough to give himself a beat to focus on. His hands missed his turntables. He missed making music. The tremor that constantly ran through his blood funneled into something useful for once. He didn't even know how to be in a real relationship. All of his knowledge came from shitty porn, and he knew that Carcat expected better than that. He was such a romantic, his nose always buried in one of his chick flick books about true love and soulmates and all that tropey shit. Dave would do nothing but disappoint him. Didn't relationships require honesty first and foremost? Dave stopped tapping his pen. Here was the crux of the matter. Dave both longed to tell Carcat everything and was terrified of it at the same time. What if, worse, they started a relationship only for Carcat to find out later and hate him for the truth of what he'd done? But that was okay, because Dave wouldn't make a move on Carcat until his friend knew the truth about him. He was content to wait for as long as he needed to. There would be none of that leading on bullshit he'd seen in movies and such. Carcat would either have all of him or none of him. That's what they both deserved. Looking down at his blank paper, Dave could see the faint outline of where he'd erased Carcat's face, and his heart ached with want that was easy to ignore. He was used to ignoring the things he wanted most. Bro had made sure of that. Dave looked up at the clock on the wall as he listened to the teacher lecture on, counting down the minutes till the lunch bell rang. When its droning buzz rang out over the classroom, and the flood of eager students jumped up at its sound, Dave hung back for a moment, letting the crowd clear out. Right before he could leave, the teacher called out to him. "Jackson," she asked, "could you stay behind for a moment? I need a word with you." It took a second for Dave to realize she meant him. He'd become so detached from his fake name that he scarcely heard it anymore. He shrugged and made his way to the front of the room. The teacher stared kindly at him. "How are you doing?" she asked. "You seem distracted today, like there's a lot on your mind." "There's always a lot on my mind," Dave answered automatically. "And it's just Dave, not Jackson." "Then, as it may be," she replied, "I'd like a minute to talk about your grade." Dave resisted the urge to roll his eyes. "Nah," he said. "It sucks. I know. I'll fix it. There, talk over." "Not quite." She restrained him in place with a small smile that pinned him motionless with its shocking sincerity. "Considering recent events, I thought it would be fair to offer some extra credit." "Recent events?" Dave questioned, his blood pressure rising. His temper flared. "I don't want your fucking pity. I won't accept charity." Her face didn't change at the profanity. "It's not charity if you earn it," she told him, sitting up straighter. One essay detailing what you think bravery is. It's due by the end of the semester, and worth twice your midterm. Fine, Dave agreed just to get out of this room. Every second he stayed was time with Carcat wasted. I'll turn it in. You happy now? Have a nice lunch, she said, leaning back. You're dismissed. Dave all but bolted for the door to stop himself from cussing at her. Dismissed his ass. No one dismissed him. And remember, she called out to him, it's due by the end of the semester. Dave didn't reply, slamming the door behind him. The last thing he needed was more fucking schoolwork, especially when he didn't really need it. His plan to win straight B's was going perfectly. He didn't need extra credit. It wasn't like he was failing. So what if he was? This poorly disguised free pity handout could go fuck itself. Dave made his way to the front office. Sorry I'm late. He dipped his chin at Officer Johnson, same as always. I got caught up in some bullshit. Carcat visibly perked up at the sight of him, even as he spoke with a wry grin. Oh no, he joked. You and bullshit? Insensible. Improbable. Dave shot back, smiling. Impossible, Officer Johnson said, sighing. What'd you get into this time? Nothing, Dave defended himself, sliding into his chosen seat beside Carcat. I am innocent until proven guilty. About that, Johnson mentioned. I've been a cop for a long time. You pick up things when you're on the job for long enough. Guilty people all got this look to them. Shifty, defiant, unwilling to cooperate. You know, exactly like how you act. So, Dave said, maintaining his look of indifference. So, the innocent also have a look about them, Johnson told him. Angry, confused, like they don't quite know what's going on. And which one do you think I am? Dave asked, seeing exactly where this was heading. You're hard to pin down, the cop said, staring down his nose at Dave. I've seen both faces from you. One's an act, I know, but in a panic, people often inadvertently show their true faces. He's innocent, then, Carcat spoke up casual, like he didn't think this was anything but a game. Why do you say that? Dave asked, because being shifty, defiant, and unwilling to cooperate was basically his motto in life at this point. Because I've never met anyone as lost as you are, Carcat said, his eyes intent. Because for someone so fucking smart, I've never met anyone who didn't have a clue who they were until I met you. You're angry, you're confused, but you keep rolling with it like that'll make things turn out okay in the end. It was rare that someone struck him speechless, but Carcat was doing that more and more. Carcat knew exactly the right things to say, but he always said it the exact wrong way. Dave swallowed thickly and forced himself to speak. A long time ago, he said, someone told me exactly who I was and who I would turn out to be. Were they wrong? Carcat asked gently. Dave shrugged. Doesn't matter, he said, because I believe them. Carcat looked deeply concerned, and Johnson too, but Dave's ears were full of Bro's voice. His hands were cold. Dave, Officer Johnson tried. Don't even, Dave answered him without moving. His lunch sat forgotten in his lap. I know exactly what I can get away with saying and when to keep my fucking mouth shut, so don't even try. Carcat was still staring at him. His eyes looked wounded. And you don't know anything, Dave told the cop, knowing he was being cruel again, but unable to help himself. You don't know shit about me or about what happened. Dave, Officer Johnson said sternly. Dave ignored him as anger flashed through him. What? He taunted. You're going to purposefully force me to remember the bad shit you know I went through and then get upset when I react to it? He showed his teeth in disdainful, cold grin. You should only dish out what you can fucking take then. You still don't know shit about me. He's right, you know, Carcat told Johnson, taking Dave's side. Don't jab a dog and then get confused as to why it bites. Dave felt gratitude for Carcat right before Johnson opened his damn mouth again. Dave, the cop said, why are you so afraid of being known? Dave opened his mouth, closed it, and then opened it again, only to scowl and stand up. Rather than answer, he simply walked out the front office. The art room wasn't locked during lunch, so he took shelter in there with a bunch of art nerds who did nothing but glance nervously at him and go back to their conversation. Perfect. Carcat would never think to look for him there. An instant later, his phone buzzed. He didn't even check the caller ID to know who it was. I'd come after you if I didn't think you needed space. Fuck off. I don't need space. I just I need assholes not to go poking at me like I'm some sort of freak science experiment. It is not Johnson's job to psychoanalyze my every move I get. Enough shit from that, from Slick. And the cop can fuck right off, too. I'm not ever telling him shit. He's probably hand in hand with the feds when it comes to keeping an eye on me in school. Do you really want me to fuck off? No, not really. I'm just angry. Why are you angry? I don't know. I just have a lot to be angry about, I guess. It's like I'm perpetually going through the 7 stages of grief, but anger is the one I get stuck on and I can't move past it. And everyone expects me to be this cool, collected guy, even me. But that's just not right all the time. So I'm allowed to get angry, right? So you're grieving. How? How the hell did you get grieving out of that? Like, what the fuck? You just said you were stuck in a cycle of grief. What did you lose? Dave thought about everything he'd lost, all he couldn't say, his entire childhood, his innocence, Dirk even, and went with the safe answer. I lost my whole life. Everything I've ever known is gone now, and it's not that I want it back, because fuck that, but I just wish things were different. Do you regret that you did whatever it was? No. As rational as it is, I just want to not have to deal with the consequences, because I might be selfish, but at least I know what I want. Can't we just skip to the happy ending or something? I'm drowning in the middle, and I just want this to be over. Are you sure the ending will be a happy one, though? What if this is all you get? God, that's depressing. At least it's easy for me to know what'll happen. I'll either end up dead or victorious. There's not really a middle ground when it comes to me. Maybe that was a bit too much, a bit too on the nose. Karkat, of course, immediately called him out on it. Dave. What? Do you want to know what I'm afraid of most now that I know you? To head off the coming train wreck, Dave tried to deliberately misunderstand his question. What? You're afraid of me? No, not of you. Of waking up one day to find that you're gone, vanished without a trace. Your agent Slick having taken you away to some other asshole-filled small town where no one knows your name or face or story to keep hiding out from the villain in your life. I'm afraid that one day your demons will catch up to you, and worse, I'll have to wake up one day to the news that you're dead. Damn, perspective is a bitch. Hearing his own fears reversed just made it worse, but then somehow Karkat drove the nail home in Dave's heart with his next words. You were there for me when my demons caught up to me. You saved my life. Will you be able to save your own? I don't want to never see you again. I don't want to lose you, Dave. You're my best friend. And Dave didn't know what to say, so instead he fucked up the moment they were having, partly out of fear and partly out of a sense of duty. Gotta keep it friendly between them. No romance allowed. I'm your only friend. Can you shut up for a second? God, it's like talking to a brick wall with you. I'm trying to express some feelings here. Shit. Sorry. Fine. I just want you to be free of this. Whatever this thing that's haunting you is. Fuck the trial. Fuck the cops. Fuck justice, even, if that's what it takes for you to be free of this kind of suffering I have to see you go through. Hey, don't worry about that. Even if I wake up one day just like shaking me awake, saying we've gotta go and gotta go right the fuck now. It's not like I don't have your phone number memorized. I still text you all day, every day, no matter what. And even if I have to leave, it won't be forever. One day this will be over, and I will be free. God damn it, do you really think that I just up and leave without a word? Maybe. Never. It does make me feel better, actually, knowing that you'll still be here for me. I know what it's like to go through this alone, but now that I have you, I don't want to go back to being alone again. That would be too cruel. I'm here for you, dude. Always. Dave stopped himself before he could say anything that would give away his true feelings. They were friends for now. Everything else could come later. Dave, where is your family? The sudden change of context threw Dave for a loop. What do you mean? You know, like, in movies and such, they're always hiding Witsec people in groups to keep their family together. You're 16, Dave, and you're completely alone here, aside from Agent Slick. So, where's your family at? I know they didn't hide them somewhere else, and it makes no sense that Witsec would force you to leave them behind. So, what happened to them? I'm sorry for asking questions like this, but I can't fit the pieces together, and this one problem has been driving me shit hive maggots. Like, I know that I couldn't do this without my dad. The idea of you being alone and dealing with whatever you're dealing with drives me crazy. Dave blinked hard at the screen, wondering how much it was safe to say. It was a difficult question to consider. Bro sure as shit wasn't his family. That fucker didn't count as dad, or whatever the hell he was, even if technically Dave shared half of his DNA. But Dirk, his brother. Dave's fingers were shaking again as he typed out the words. I don't have a family. Used to, once, but not anymore. What happened to them? Dave took a deep breath. He could remember every smallest detail of his brother's face, and the pain that ripped through him was just as strong as it had been 3 years ago when he realized Dirk wasn't ever coming back. Fucking Christ, Karkat, I can't tell you that. The bell was ringing overhead, but Dave ignored it as long as possible as he schooled his face into neutral nonchalance and disinterest as the art students began to file into the classroom, as Dave forced his way through the crowd out of it, only to nearly run into Karkat, who was waiting for him right outside the door. How'd you find me? Your scent, Karkat deadpanned, his thumbs hooked under the straps of his backpack. He jerked his chin to the hallway. Walk with me? Dave fell into step beside him. Do you do that often? He asked. Track people by nose? Karkat shook his head. It's easier when it's you, he said, then immediately began to backtrack, blushing. His voice got so quiet that Dave could barely hear him. I like your smell. It's distinctive, unique. It makes it easier to find you. Unique, Dave repeated, smiling as Karkat blushed harder. I apparently smell unique. Fine by me, I'll fucking take it. Bet it beats reeking like garbage fire, like I imagine every other teenage cluster of hormonal mishaps that inhabits the school. That had Karkat grinning, his nose wrinkled. Yeah, he said, it can get pretty bad sometimes. I can imagine, Dave said, walking side by side with his friend. People stink, this is a known fact. Karkat stopped beside his classroom. The hallways were nearly empty by this point, and the late bell was about to ring. Dave? Yeah. I'm sorry, Karkat said. About your family, about asking questions, about everything. Dave kept his face blank as he nodded. It's okay, he said emotionlessly. No, it's not, Karkat said, his voice loud again. It's not okay, and I can tell because I look at you, at your face, and I know you're feeling things that you're not letting yourself show. Why? Why hold everything in? Dave blinked, his mouth dry. I do hold everything in, he said. This, he motioned to his own head, seeding in a little truth. It's a mess up here, a tightly wound mess that I'm not ready to unravel right now, Karkat. I can't. Instead of pushing for answers, Karkat simply nodded. I understand. Besides, Dave said, graceful, forcing a grin, my shit isn't the easy kind. It's more like a bomb. Once it goes off, more people than just me will get hurt, and I don't want that to happen. Karkat nodded again. I'll see you in history, he said. I'll talk more later, okay? Okay, Dave agreed, and then he watched as Karkat slipped through his classroom door and out of sight. Dave made his way to his own class in a fog. He was noticing more and more how the time he didn't spend with Karkat didn't matter as much to him as it should have. Time passed too slowly for his liking as the day dragged on, but eventually it was time for history, with all its boring lessons and blatant memorization. Sitting next to Karkat was honestly the only thing about it that was bearable. Karkat was already seated at the desk, and Dave was forced to wait all the way through class until the teacher dismissed them their normal 15 minutes early. But that was okay. Dave was used to waiting. This time, Karkat was ready for him. You ever have so much to say that you can't decide where to start? He asked. Sensing blood in the water, Dave nodded cautiously. My dad says to be blunt but mild, but I say fuck that. Karkat stared right at him, his gaze earnest. I've always been honest and unwilling to take other shit, and I'll let them know it too. But I can be tactful and alert enough to know when to tread lightly. What are you leading up to? Dave asked, wary. It can be so hard to talk to you, Karkat told him, grimacing. But at the same time, I'd like nothing better. I know you can't be completely outright with me, and I don't hold that against you. So I need to know something. And this time you have to be honest with me. It's very important. What's the question? Dave deadpanned, already dreading the answer. I need someone to help me out with something, Karkat said, gesturing vaguely. Someone I can trust completely about lycanthropy things. You do realize you can trust me, right? Dave said, relieved at the unexpected turn of the conversation as his shoulders relaxed. Like, I vividly remember me saving your life from lycanthropy things. Recently, even, I might add. He pretended to shudder. I think I'm traumatized. Somehow, that was the wrong thing to say. Karkat's entire posture slumped. Quickly, Dave interjected. That was a joke. Was it? Karkat asked quietly. He wouldn't meet Dave's eyes. I don't know. I'm asking for a lot, and I don't want to add more to your pile of shit to deal with. The amount of genuine care in Karkat's voice made Dave want to instantly agree to anything he asked. Man, he was in deep. Hey, Dave said, equally soft. Don't worry about my shit. What is it? You can at least tell me that, right? Karkat let out a sigh that shook his whole body, bone-weary with the weight of whatever was on his shoulders. My dad can't get out of his board meeting, he said, his knuckles white against the top of the desk. And I can't stop the moon from rising. Dave easily put two and two together. Shit. Shit is right, Karkat said, going on. But I can't be alone for it, and God, I already hate this so fucking much. I'm a terrible person for even asking, but I don't have anyone else, and I don't want to have to go back to the hospital for it, so he trailed off, losing words, full of not knowing what else to say. It didn't matter. Dave understood. You're asking me to be there? He said, softly, stunned. Not if you don't want to, Karkat quickly said, panicking. And not like that or anything, and clearly not in the same room, because duh, but I need someone else to be in the house to lock all the doors and arm the security system and make sure I don't seize to death on the floor or something. Wait, Dave said, his mind skipping to the part that jumped out at him. Seize to death? Yeah, Karkat admitted, his face dark. It's not, like, fucking fun to turn. He kept it at that and didn't say anything else. Dave let out a low whistle. Damn, Karkat agreed, shrugging helplessly. I wouldn't ask you, except that you're kind of exactly right about the saving my life thing. His voice got smaller. And then, lycanthropy thing. I figured if you'd already seen me at my worst, everything else can't be as bad as that, right? What will I have to do? Dave asked, curious, despite the seriousness of the situation. Basically, make sure I don't fucking die, Karkat said. The system is mostly foolproof, and there's no chance of escape or anything like that. You won't be in any danger. Okay, Dave asked. I know it's a lot to ask, Karkat went on, his voice getting faster. Especially from you, but I can't think of anyone else that I'd even consider trusting, and... Okay, Dave said again. And it sucks, and I'm a freak, and I'm afraid you'll hate me for this. Karkat finished his speech with a huff of air, sucking in his breath as he waited for a reply. Karkat, Dave said seriously. I already said okay. Karkat opened his mouth, ready to argue, but then deflated with surprise. Okay? Okay, Dave answered. I'll do it. Slick himself couldn't drag me out. Oh, Jesus, Karkat said, already panicking. Agent Slick, I didn't even think about him. Don't worry, Dave said, sensing the buildup of instant stress in Karkat. I'm sure he'll be okay with this. Why? Karkat sounded confused. He had a soft spot for you, Dave told him, grinning. What? Like you couldn't tell? Fuck off, Karkat snapped, the reply automatic before he realized he wasn't being mocking. Sorry, have it. It's okay, Dave said. Damn, that's it. I've reached my limit of okays today. Can't say that word anymore now without inflation ruining my adjective economy. Karkat smiled. His face was deeply relieved as the bell rang and school ended. Can't have that, he joked. Whatever would you do with a word missing from your vocabulary? Make shit up, Dave confided. I test to the age-old trend of just making shit up whenever normal words fail you. Shakespeare had it right all along, pretentious bastard. That won another smile from Karkat, who was looking not so worn down, like a weight had been lifted from them. How long have you been worrying about this? Dave asked with a flash of insight. Weeks, Karkat admitted, breathing deeply as Dave stood up and offered him a helping hand. Thanks, he said as Dave pulled him up to his feet. Karkat's palm was warm, and the brief contact sent a shock through him, a lovely thrill that Dave didn't want to end. I'll text you later. You'd better, Karkat replied, stretching in a way that made Dave want to stare. I will, Dave promised, and together they left the classroom and headed to the waiting bus. Another day of school behind them, and another tomorrow looming huge on the horizon. Chapter end! Oh, and we're gonna start tomorrow with a spicy long one. Oh my goodness. They are so in love. Oh my god, they love each other so much. Oh, and I love them. Oh my god. Oh my god. The trust Karkat puts into Dave. I love them so much. I love the little subtle too of Dave like slowly being like, fuck, I have feelings for this man. Also, thank you, Leon, for this stretch. I will stretch. We'll be seeing you Friday. Aren't you busy? Oh, yes, I am busy tomorrow. We will be doing Friday, but we are doing a slightly earlier time. And by slightly earlier, I mean much earlier. We will be doing, instead on Friday, we will be doing 6 p.m. EST. I think that's what we said, Sino. Am I correct? I have to double check our group chat. I think we agreed on 6. Yes. Okay. We will be doing 6 p.m. EST on Friday. So we'll probably go from 6 to about 8-ish. Because we try to do about 2 hours. So that's the plan. So Friday, but no tomorrow. So just keep that in mind. I'll maybe send out a tweet on my alt account on Twitter as a little reminder. Because it's just an abnormal time. But this will be, so we'll be doing, next time will be Friday. Because I have D&D tomorrow, and I can't do it. And I also haven't planned my D&D stuff, so I'm going to do that after stream instead of going to sleep like I should be. So, whoopee. But yeah, hope you all have a very, very lovely night. This is a lovely set of chapters. I hope my, I'm trying to kind of, it's difficult because I don't have a distinct voice between Karkat and Dave. I'm trying to give enough pause between the texting conversations to make it clear when it's one or the other, because if you're not watching the stream, I imagine it might be kind of hard to know when the difference of talking, because if it was Solux, I do the little I do the lift with Solux, but Karkat and Dave are very similar voices to me, or at least I'm not really trying. Your voice acting is so really okay. I'm glad. The scene with Dave and Slick, I was trying hard. And I feel like it's hard with voice acting because it's there's a line, I think, between being kind of cringy and actually doing it well, and I try not to skirt that line because I know sometimes so I am trying, and it's fun. It's fun to get into the characters, but I do hope that the Dave and Karkat, I know that they're very similar, but I'm trying to kind of give pauses enough between the text and make it feel like it's flowing okay. Because saying Dave and then this line and then Karkat then the line would get very repetitive, and then these are very serious scenes, and I feel like that's weird. So you're doing amazing. Don't doubt yourself. Oh, thank you. I don't think I'm not doubting myself. It's more that I'm very aware of what I'm doing at all times. And I'm just trying to make sure that it's because honestly, it sounds cool to me in my head. When I'm doing it, I'm oh, I think I sound cool. But sometimes it's, you're trying to be self-aware, and is it okay, is it cool though? Because I think I sound sick. But yeah. So anyways, okay. I will see you all on Friday next, 6 p.m. EST, special time. We will be doing chapter 13, and probably, it seems like we're about doing 4 chapters a stream, but it kind of just is depending on, it's more based on word count than anything, but that's roughly the amount we're doing. The first time, it was because chapter 1 was so short, that we did 5 chapters, but that's about the rate that we're going at. So, Friday, see you guys next time. Have a lovely night. Good night, y'all.
love you guys. Love all of you that stick around and come to this because it's so fun to do. And I will talk to you all later. Bye 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 bye. Good night. Good night.